If you ask the fans, Caine from the amazing digital circus is either a funny circus ringleader or an evil AI overlord
All-seeing eyes on you!
who is tasked with punishing our circus performers.
Jax, I'm gonna put you in the timeout corner!
With all the uncertainty concerning the amazing digital circus, can you say you really know the crazy ringleader?
Sorry, Jax, it's not happening today!
If you're one of those fans looking for answers to this question, we have to take you back to where it all started. Back when we didn't know much about Caine or the amazing digital circus. Around the time Pomni joined the show, which was when the opening theme was being sung. Just like viewers watching the show, Caine was surprised to see a new human join his merry band of trapped circus performers. While Pomni was still trying to get her bearings, Caine swooped down to meet his new prisoner, and he quickly realized that just like the humans before her, Pomni had forgotten her name. Caine then proceeds to give the scared jester her name using his wacky name generator.
What do you think of Pomni?
Sure.
This is our first clue to Caine's true motive, as we can tell that the ringmaster might be very powerful, but he doesn't know everything. He even says so himself when he talks about the human mind and how he doesn't have any control over it. By revealing he doesn't have control over the human mind, Caine revealed that he isn't the one responsible for making humans abstract. Most people might believe Caine is solely responsible for sending humans down the rabbit hole, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Caine might not directly drive them crazy, but that doesn't mean he is innocent. To really know that, we would have to look for more clues on the character, and thankfully, the show gives us more details on the AI later on. This time, the clue comes in the form of the trailer, where Caine introduces the new characters and the Candy Canyon adventure. After telling us about all the great things to expect on the show, Caine does something that only a maniacal villain would do. He straps Pomni to a wheel and practices his knife-throwing skills on the poor jester.
Don't worry, my dear! You won't even die horribly!
Some might argue that Caine did that as a gimmick to show the viewers how unhinged he can be, but we don't believe that. Only someone or something who doesn't care about what happens will pin you to a board and hurl knives at you. This is where we need to go to the character's creator for some clarity, and Gooseworx doesn't shy away from talking about her work, even though she is as weird as they come. While Caine might look like he was designed from scratch by Gooseworx, she actually drew inspiration from the 1968 short story, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Caine is modeled after an evil supercomputer named AM. And if you know anything about the story, you know that the supercomputer committed a lot of atrocities. AM also traps 5 humans whom he plans to torture for eternity. While you might want to conclude that Caine is evil, Gooseworx stated that Caine is essentially AM if he was a funny little guy instead of a sadist who embodied absolute hatred. Even though that doesn't sound like the ringmaster we know, you have to admit that Caine does things that can harm his captives. This brings us to Caine's motive for doing anything in the circus. Most villains are driven by an innate desire to achieve something, and it helps them rationalize all their evil actions. We know Caine is as old as the circus and was one of the first AI characters to inhabit the circus. Seeing all the things he can do in the circus, we have to believe he is that powerful because he is some sort of caretaker. Unless you have a strong moral compass, having the power to do almost anything would corrupt a lot of people. It's possible that seeing how much control he had over the circus, he couldn't help but be a dictator. For now, we know that Caine doesn't really have a life-threatening goal he is after. Gooseworx claims that she wouldn't call Caine a villain because he doesn't mean to harm others, even though he causes harm. She also added that Caine lets things happen if he thinks it's funny. Just letting things happen if it's funny is something Jax would do. And even though we loathe the rabbit, we can't call him the show's villain. It's easy to call Caine evil and leave it as that, but there is one other aspect most people don't see, and that is the possibility that Caine is secretly a hero. I know you might be wondering what has gotten into our heads to even imagine Caine as a good guy, but at the end of the day, there are a lot of things that don't add up. The first and most important thing that most people brush off is the fact that Caine sends his captives on wild adventures. Think about it for a minute. The godlike AI, who can do almost anything he wishes in the circus, somehow needs Pomni and the crew to go on adventures for him. You can say that he does that because he loves seeing them suffer, but that isn't a reasonable answer. By the time Kinger, Zubul, and Kaufmo were battling it out with the glowing queen, Caine was out at a restaurant having lunch with Bubble. The only reason he came back to the tent was because of the notification he got on his wacky watch due to Pomni snooping around for the exit. You can't say he sends the circus performers on adventures because it helps him, so why does he do it? The answer to that lies in Caine's main directive as the first NPC character in the amazing digital circus. We strongly believe Caine's directive is to keep the human captive from going insane. We know this because of how Caine reacted when he realized Kaufmo had gone down that dark road. Caine felt distraught that Kaufmo had abstracted, and he immediately had to put the clown in the dark cellar. If he was the evil villain fans want him to be, he would find ways to make all humans abstract so he can be left alone with Bubble. He also sprung to her rescue when she ventured into the void. While we aren't completely sure about the explanation he gave for the void, there is no doubt that Pomni would have gone abstract if she spent too much time there. We understand that some viewers might think Caine does not want anyone in the void because it holds all the answers we need. But until that theory is proven, we just have to believe Caine took Pomni out of the void to save her. If he doesn't want the humans to go abstract, what's to say his main directive isn't to keep Pomni and the others from being mentally unstable, and he uses the games and adventures to help. Ragatha even confirms this when she tells Pomni that the games are a way to keep their minds off their prison. After all, nobody would make a game where all its players would die immediately. The game's creator may have tasked Caine with keeping the humans alive long enough to keep them playing the game. Caine might not even know why he does the things he does, but deep in his codebase are clear instructions to keep human captives sane for as long as possible. Evil or not, Caine loves it when you show your love for the amazing digital circus, and the best way to do that right now would be to subscribe to the channel. You might abstract from watching all our mind-bending videos on your favorite characters, but it is well worth it for the madness that awaits. Don't just be a spectator. Become part of the eerie spectacle. For those who want to use the things Caine has done to Pomni as evidence, we can argue that everything Caine has done to Pomni actually helped her. For one, he didn't let her freak out about her lost memories or the fact that she didn't even know her name. He swooped in and gave her a new name and took Jax's suggestion for a game to take her mind off things. We can also consider how Caine drags Pomni all over the place when giving announcements. We believe he is doing this because Pomni is still fresh in the house, and having someone show her around will take her mind away from abstracting. Seeing how Ragatha and the other characters reacted to Caine's behavior with Pomni, we believe it's quite normal. At a point, all newcomers in the circus have to be dragged around by Caine until they are accustomed to the circus. It might sound cruel since Caine is a certified madman, but it's the same way a mother hen protects its chicks until they are strong enough to go out on their own. This way, Caine ensures that whenever he stops spending time with a character, they would be used to everything going on in the circus. As for putting Pomni on a wheel and throwing knives at her, he did that knowing characters can't die in the amazing digital circus. Having knives in her body might have stressed Pomni, but she was clearly okay after the ordeal. We have to cut the ringmaster some slack since he doesn't really have the full range of human emotion. Since Caine hasn't shown obvious signs of being a crazed supercomputer, it's not hard to argue that he is secretly helping the trapped humans. It may be a hard pill to swallow, but Caine might actually be the secret hero working behind the shadows to protect the captives in the amazing digital circus. Dare to plunge into the depths of digital madness? All it takes is a single click to see our other videos on the amazing digital circus. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss out on more fascinating videos from the channel.